faster than speeding bullets.
Indiana Jones fights beyond his physical pain.
I love Indiana Jones. He's so sexy.
They're more powerful than a 20-megaton bomb.
The Incredible Hulk was really cool.
Didn't I kill you already?
Hellboy is yearning to just be normal.
Spider-Man is just such a beloved character.
Thanks.
They're cunning, charismatic,
I make this look good.
and cooler than a vodka martini shaken not stirred.
Sean Connery killed it.
My name is Bond, James Bond.
Superheroes reflect the times in which they're written.
They're the world's ultimate superheroes.
Oh, come on, man. We all love superheroes.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
Theirs is the eternal battle between good versus evil.
Need to ease up out my face for something bad happened to you.
Today, more than ever, heroes, superheroes, still have the power to grip our imagination.
Superheroes are today's contemporary American mythology. The Greek gods, the Roman gods, those characters are still alive and well, only they're wearing spandex and capes.
Superheroes represent personal fantasy. If I could just melt you with my heat vision, I could control you in my mind, or I could defend myself against all odds. Most people go through life like myself, afraid of getting hit by cars. So what if you were impervious to that?
I think people love superheroes because everybody, at some point or another, fantasized about being one.
Favorite character would have to probably be Batman.
I like Superman.
Blade, the Daywalker.
To create a list of the ultimate top 20 superheroes, over 50 experts weighed in, from Hollywood filmmakers to pioneering comic book creators. Their list drew from movies, comics, TV, and video games. Each superhero on the list had to be a larger-than-life figure who serves a greater good than himself.
You'll find I'm full of surprises.
While standing tall in today's pop culture.
I won't buy.
And with a super cool costume and a near-perfect track record of getting girls, who wouldn't want this gig?
Let me tell you something. There's only one way off of this planet, baby, and that's through me.
The superheroes at number 20, the Men in Black, play on humanity's deepest, darkest suspicions about government conspiracies and alien invasion. It's a formula that powered a 1991 comic book and a movie series that beamed up over $500 million.
We're under arrest for violating sections 4153 of the Tycho Treaty.
Hollywood is smart enough from time to time to be able to just look at concepts and not whether they were selling. Men in Black was probably selling 5,000 copies at the time I bought it.
Men in Black films really work because of the chemistry between Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones.
You're nothing but a smear on the sports page to me, you slimy, gut-sucking, intestinal parasite. You hate me.
Tommy Lee Jones has a very dry delivery, and Will Smith is really over the top.
What I can't understand is why you gotta come down here bringing all this ruckus, snatching up galaxies and everything.
The problem with the Men in Black comic books is you always felt like once you bought them, you went on some sort of a list in the government someplace. We've got a believer, dart him as he's going to work. Woke up, my clothes are on backwards just because I bought a Men in Black comic book.
Need to ease up out my face for something bad happened to you.
Worse things out tonight than vampires.
Introduced in 1973, a time when blaxploitation movies like Shaft and Superfly filled theaters, the half-human, half-vampire Blade proved that African-American superheroes could succeed in the mostly whites-only world of comic book heroes. A supernatural avenger out to destroy the vampire who killed his mother, Blade also reflected a classic Marvel Comics archetype, the anti-hero, whose special powers are also a curse.
He doesn't quite belong to either the humans or the vampires, so he's in constant battle with each of them, plus internally in himself. That adds a lot to the storyline. And it's cool, and it gives him a lot of people to kick ass.
In 1998, Blade leaped from the pages of the comics to become a real flesh and bloodthirsty movie hero, played by Wesley Snipes.
We were able to take the fantasy world and make it seem like it's happening among us.
Came back to finish you off.
That opened the door for the studios not to be afraid of costumes, not to be afraid of superpowers.
In 1932, Conan the Barbarian was first brought to fame in the pages of Weird Tales magazine. This medieval muscle man was the brainchild of writer Robert E. Howard, the prolific father of sword and sorcery, who in just 12 short years churned out hundreds of pulp fiction tales before taking his own life at the age of 30.
Conan is your Superman, Batman character with the spandex off, set in the dark past.
Forces of evil sweep into his village when he's a boy, and they kill his parents. They take the boy prisoner, and he gets free and picks up a sword. And that, again, is the satisfying nature of the superhero myth, when the oppressed finally gains his power and his freedom.
When producer Dino De Laurentiis turned the character into a big-screen superhero in 1982, fans wondered if any actor was buff enough to match Conan's rippling measurements. Enter Arnold Schwarzenegger, a former Mr. Universe whose command of the English language was as brutal as the character he was playing.
I will have my own kingdom, my own queen.
Conan truly defined a career for Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I don't know where you get steroids in, you know, the Middle Ages, but apparently he had a really good hookup. Schwarzenegger, I think, was the perfect guy to play Conan. I don't know what a Sumerian accent sounds like, but it probably sounds exactly like an Austrian accent.
Excuse me. I must get up now.
Do I make you horny? Randy?
In 1997, Mike Myers created the ultimate 1960s super spy spoof by mixing 3 parts of James Bond with 2 jiggers of Our Man Flint, stirred with a swizzle stick worth of the Avengers. The result? Austin Powers, international man of mystery, a hero whose very lack of super ability was his most endearing quality.
Okay, name. Austin Danger Powers. Sex? Yes, please.
The nice thing about Austin is not his perfection, it's his imperfection. The fact that he's lost in a modern world that he doesn't really understand that makes him attractive, and that's really what his journey is about. And beating Dr. Evil is sort of a sideline, because who couldn't beat Dr. Evil?
As long as people are still having promiscuous sex with many anonymous partners without protection, while at the same time experimenting with mind-expanding drugs in a consequence-free environment, I'll be sound as a pound.
He does have a super element to himself. It's his mojo.
I won't bite.
Austin Powers' mojo is his essence, his life force, his libido, what the French call a certain I don't know what.
Yes, Austin Powers is the definition of heroic. Something to aspire to.
Oh, behave.
To the rooftops!
One of the sharpest superhero parodies ever created, The Tick, first burrowed onto the scene in a homegrown 1986 newsletter by creator Ben Edlund. By the 1990s, the character of an ex-asylum inmate turned would-be superhero had emerged as an entomological entrepreneur in comic books, an animated series, and a live-action TV show.
From this day forth, I will spread my buttery justice over your every nook and cranny. Hear me, oh city, my city. Your toast will never go bare again.
The superhero genre, if you take 2 steps back, is a bit of a farce. So The Tick, your mind runs wild and you can, go, I'm Broccoli Boy and I'm gonna fight, Rutabaga Man, and you can just start having fun.
Wicked men, you face the Tick.
He puts on glasses, but he's still got his tick antennas, and he's got his jacket on, and nobody can recognize who he is, because why can't they see past the glasses?
You're an idiot in a bunny suit.
We have a lot of these moments in comic books that are easily made fun of, and they're cannon fodder for a creative guy.
We'll take it from here.
Coming up, the competition gets tougher as a blind Avenger and a hitman from hell fight for supremacy. When Ultimate Superheroes returns.
This program is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, located on the web at MBUSA.com.
The superhero at number 15 brings new meaning to the words blind justice. Meet Daredevil, Marvel Comics' man without fear. And a character who's proved since 1964 that even a disability can be a source of power.
Marvel heroes usually get their powers through accidents. Daredevil's this young boy who, while trying to save a man from walking into the street, gets spilled on with toxic chemicals, and he goes blind. He has to give up part of his life to get these new special powers.
Daredevil is my favorite superhero. He developed these incredible abilities to know where things are and hear things far away and smell things and sort of have almost like a radar.
I thought he represented my most daring step in superheroes. I loved the gimmicks we dreamed up, like he didn't need Braille, but his touch was so sensitive. He could run his finger over a newspaper page and he could feel the ink on the page. And he could tell if someone was lying to him because his hearing was so acute that he could hear their pulse rate speed up.
Strike one against Daredevil. He's a lawyer, but Daredevil's tougher than he looks. In fact, his 1979 makeover in the comics by artist Frank Miller set the style for the edgy look of 1980s graphic novels and for the 2003 Daredevil feature starring Ben Affleck.
I got work to do.
Daredevil is a vigilante, and I relate to vigilantes. I don't think you should sit back and take whatever.
Marvel really surpassed DC by making their heroes less cookie cutter, by making their characters have flaws.
You have to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Do ya? Punks?
Most people know The Mask from the Jim Carrey movie about a wimp who gets superpowers from an ancient mask. But this mean green morphing machine was much more nasty and homicidal when he premiered in Dark Horse Comics in 1987.
The mask, which had belonged to the god Loki, would come into somebody's life and they'd find this power, they'd be able to do whatever they wanted, but the mask would twist them with Loki's evil mischief.
In 1994, The Mask transformed from cult comic book to big budget movie, which earned over $100 million in the US alone, thanks to three things: Jim Carrey,
I did it, you hear? And I'm glad. Glad, I tell you!
groundbreaking CGI, and Cameron Diaz in a red dress.
Okay.
And it was only until technology caught up with what they could do on screen, and of course the perfect meeting of artist with objective in Jim Carrey, who has the ability to become sort of a living cartoon right before your very eyes.
The mask is a great concept because it does bring out all these inner desires and inner wants and takes away all inhibitions, but, you know, so does Bud Light.
Smokehead!
Flash Gordon! You didn't think you'd get away with this, did you, Ming?
A long time ago, in a comic strip, far, far away, a 1930s superhero proved that cool rocket ships, hot princesses, cape-wearing villains, and furry sidekicks could deliver the cash register equivalent of the Big Bang. As George Lucas is first to admit, there would never have been a Star Wars if it hadn't been for the King Features comic strip, Flash Gordon.
Alex Raymond was one of the greatest comic strip artists in history. He had the power to really transport you to other planets and really become involved with the characters.
Flash wasn't the first superhero to head into space, but he was the first intergalactic superstar, rocketing past his rivals with his own comic strip, movie serial, radio show, even his own postage stamp.
If it hadn't been for Flash Gordon, there probably would never have been a Lost in Space or a Star Trek or a Star Wars. And Flash was the first one to take it into new worlds.
The old Flash Gordon serials, they didn't have the greatest special effects. They didn't have a lot of money to spend on them, but the characters believed in what they were doing, and I loved them.
Flash Gordon conquers the universe.
It's laying out, son. Go fight some monsters.
Like Blade, Hellboy, the creation of Mike Mignola, is a mixed-up combination of supernatural sinner and would-be saint. Starting in 1993, comic book fans opened their hearts and wallets to a cuddly demon born out of black magic. Luckily, Hellboy was usually trying to do the right thing, even if those pesky pointers on his head proved he was still a little horny.
The burden of being supernatural makes for a very, very lonely existence. And this guy has appetites that are truly human. And the poignancy of the character is that he is prevented from participating in a life that he yearns and longs to participate in.
You think, wow, that's really cool, this baby from hell. But if it was Heaven Boy, if it was a baby from heaven, I think that's not real. It's a lot easier to believe in hell than it is in heaven, especially if you live in LA.
Hellboy also gets points for being the rare superhero movie that succeeded by sticking close to the comic book.
I'm not a very good shot, but this Samaritan here uses really big bullets. Oh, crap.
Ron Perlman really isolated Hellboy's temperament. He was this great mixture of anger, determination, sense of humor.
You missed. Everything he does reluctantly.
Didn't I kill you already?
That gives him this real blue-collar, everyman-ish kind of personality.
Gonna be sore in the morning.
Hellboy was a choir boy compared to the superhero at number 11. Created by ex-Marvel artist Todd McFarlane, Spawn ushered in a new generation of violent anti-heroes with the story of a murdered U.S. Marine turned vengeance-seeking demon.
Spawn is a flawed man and does a lot of stuff that he potentially regrets. And to me, it's more the course of, will this man turn into a hero, that's way more interesting than actually being the hero.
Spawn also gave Todd McFarlane superpowers of his own. The artist created his own empire of comic books, action figures, Emmy-winning TV shows, and merchandise, all built on Spawn's bloody shoulders.
Spawn perfectly reflects how superheroes have changed over the years. It's a fine line between a supervillain and a superhero with Spawn.
Spawn has a little bit of what if Batman wasn't owned by corporate America. Spawn, you shoot at him, he'll shoot back. You throw a knife at him, he'll throw a knife. And if you basically harm women and children, he will cut your head off.
Just ahead, a fantastic foursome and an incredible anti-hero battle for a top spot when Ultimate Superheroes continues.
This program is brought to you by DiGiorno. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno. Microwave.
Born in 1962 in the pages of Marvel Comics and immortalized in a classically campy TV show of the 1970s, the Hulk may not have been a poster boy for anger management, but at least he used his ferocious powers for good.
What I liked about the Hulk was power. He was able to fight any negativity, any forces, any evil.
I thought, wouldn't it be fun to get a monster and make him a hero? Then I remembered Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I said, he's a normal guy who turns into a monster.
Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
The Hulk is a really good example of how comic books are often the refuge of the bullied. Bruce Banner's a wuss. And then if you piss him off, he gains all this muscle mass and he turns green and he'll smash your head.
Gosh, I guess I always liked the Incredible Hulk because he was so strong and crazy and green and out there. It was sort of like the beast within.
The TV version with Lou Ferrigno, I really loved when I was a kid. The best part about the Hulk, the series, was the little sad piano music at the end. Dun, 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 dun. Bill Bixby would be walking onto another town, you know, trying to buy some stretch pants.
The Fantastic Four not only know how to save the world. Back in 1961, they also saved Marvel Comics from collapsing into the black hole of bankruptcy. Before the Four, Marvel mostly churned out kiddie comics. But that was before the arrival of space traveler Dr. Reed Richards. His fiancée turned wife, Susan Storm, a.k.a. Invisible Girl, Susan's teenage brother Johnny, the Human Torch, and pilot Ben Grimm, whose life literally turns rocky when he becomes the Thing.
The Fantastic Four really defined a new medium in comics. Superheroes are very much loners, or they have young boy sidekicks. But this was the first time we saw a family.
After 33 years reigning as comic book rock stars, the Fantastic Four journeyed to a place even scarier than deep space, Hollywood. In 1994, legendary B-movie producer Roger Corman turned their adventures into a movie so far from fantastic it wasn't even released. But in 2005, the Four finally got the A-budget Hollywood treatment with a major movie starring Michael Chiklis and Jessica Alba.
With the Fantastic Four, the essence of it, the root of it, is all about family and sticking together. And regardless of what goes on in the world, at the end of the day, the only people you can rely on and lean on is your family.
I loved the Thing because he was a curmudgeon-y guy, but with a heart of gold. And you knew no matter how much he sort of bantered with Johnny Storm that he really loved the kid. He was literally a pillar of strength.
The Thing. That's the most, like, random-ass superhero ever. What is he, lava dude? No, he's the Thing. Great. Good thinking. Just throw him in with the Fantastic Four.
I love you.
If the Fantastic Four are the first family of superheroes, The Incredibles expanded the concept of superhero togetherness into the 21st century. The brainchild of writer-director Brad Bird, it told the tale of a family forced to hide its special gifts to fit into a mediocre world.
Let go of your brother!
I was absolutely blown away by The Incredibles. Superheroes having to kind of live this suburban life that we all have to deal with. Trash takeout day and parking tickets and all the banality of life. And they're kind of over the hill a little bit.
Showtime.
When you get older, you still think of yourself as being in your 20s and 30s, and you sort of yearn for that life that you had then. And I think that's what Mr. Incredible does. The Incredibles is an analogy for youth.
I can't come to dinner. I've got the rent. I gotta go.
The idea of the X-Men, a gang of gifted mutants hated by the rest of the world for being different, was dicey stuff back in 1963. This was a time when a real-life X-Man, Malcolm X, was blasting white America over racial discrimination.
People can sometimes be mean and nasty and unfair to people that they conceive of as being different. And I said, well, let's see. Each character has an extra power. Their leader is called Professor X. I'll call him the X-Men.
These were different kinds of superheroes, the kind that people hadn't seen before. They sort of represented the outcasts and reluctant superheroes, sworn to defend a world that hates and fears them.
Over the years, new characters like Wolverine made it one of Marvel's most powerful franchises, one that mutated in the year 2000 into a Hollywood blockbuster.
The most effective comic book movie that I'd ever seen was X-Men. I really felt for those people. And I think that that's what you've got to do.
Could tell that the people working on it really dug the characters, and that Hugh Jackman as Wolverine was just amazing.
He's pretty much impenetrable because if you try and hit him, it's pretty much like hitting a brick wall. If you cut him, it just heals straight away. He's like an ultimate fighting machine in a way.
You want to shoot me? Shoot me!
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
Han Solo may have been the coolest space pirate in the galaxy.
Yeah!
But for most Star Wars fans, no character was more down to earth than Luke Skywalker.
This is Red 5. I'm going in.
A farm boy eager to escape his boring relatives and a dead-end job to conquer new worlds.
Have a kid who lives at the farthest edge of the universe. He's basically the most insignificant figure in that universe, and in the end, it's him and only him that can solve the biggest problem.
I got him! Great kid! Don't get cocky!
You have to really believe yourself to have the audience come along with you and believe along with you.
Remember, a Jedi can feel the Force flowing through him.
You mean it controls your actions?
Partially, but it also obeys your command.
The only way we could really play it would be, let's pretend we're in a fairy tale and be just totally committed to being sincere.
Is the dark side stronger? No. But how am I to know the good side from the bad?
You will know when you're calm, at peace.
To create the character he originally named Luke Starkiller, George Lucas spent months studying the heroes found in classic literature and ancient folklore.
Luke Skywalker is King Arthur. He is the young boy who discovers the sword.
You have learned much, young one.
You'll find I'm full of surprises.
And becomes a king.
I am a Jedi.
Use the Force, Luke.
Luke, that's every man again, with hidden talent. And somehow that hidden talent will someday come to save us all.
Remember, the Force will be with you, always.
Just ahead, the Caped Crusader and the Man of Steel battle for the top spots on the list of the world's ultimate superheroes. I didn't know that. The Hulk, Marvel Comics' not-so-jolly green giant, wasn't always green. When the Hulk first hit the shelves in 1962, he was gray. But publishers at the time couldn't print a consistent and clear shade of gray. So for the next printing, creator Stan Lee chose a gallant emerald hue for the Hulk's skin because there weren't many green superheroes at the time. Guess it isn't easy being gray. Ultimate Superheroes will be right back on Bravo. Brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, located on the web at mbusa.com. No filmmaker has done more for superheroes than George Lucas, who turned his boyhood love of 1930s movie serials into modern-day blockbusters. Lucas's second superhero on the list, Indiana Jones, proves that to be a superhero, you don't need gadgets or gamma rays, just brains and a bullwhip.
In Indiana Jones, I created a character that was flawed, and he was put into superhero situations, and he came through. But he always came through by the skin of his teeth.
In 1980, Lucas and director Steven Spielberg decided there was only one actor who could bring Indy to red-blooded life: Tom Selleck. Luckily for Harrison Ford, Selleck was already signed to do a new TV show called Magnum P.I. The rest, as an archaeologist might say, is history.
Any questions, Ben?
I love Indiana Jones. He's so sexy. I think because he's like a real man and he gets freaked out.
There's a big snake in the plane! I hate him!
Harrison gives the audience permission to be Indiana Jones just by virtue of showing pain and showing fear.
But at the end of the day, he steps up to the plate and he kicks ass.
The classic moment, of course, is the guy with the swords.
We had this big sword fight, whip against sword.
It would have taken us 3 or 4 days of filming.
He went to Steven and said, you know, if this were real, I would just pull out my gun and shoot the guy.
The one who was most upset by it was the guy who'd been practicing with the sword for months. I pulled the trigger before he had a chance to even think about it, and he fell down.
I think you got the point. 007. Guarantee sign of prompt delivery, night and day service.
Indiana Jones owes more than one tip of the fedora to the superhero at number 4. Ian Fleming's super spy, James Bond.
I think you've made your point, Goldfinger. Thank you for the demonstration.
Bond is like Batman. He has incredible gadgets. And, you know, if they don't have the superpowers, they gotta have the gadgets.
He was an international spy who got to sleep with copious amounts of beautiful women, drive super fast cars. He's the ultimate guy's guy.
A British spy during World War II, Fleming wrote what may be the ultimate Cold War spy novel, Casino Royale, in 1952. Since then, 007 has turned up just about everywhere, from movie screens to video games to wristwatches.
Bond broke open the whole concept of spy movies. Spies became it. They were our superheroes of that particular moment. Instead of spandex, our heroes were now in tuxedos.
Cool cars, cool clothes, and really beautiful women. He was the original pimp back in the day.
My name is Pussy Galore.
I must be dreaming.
James Bond, mixing business with girls and thrills. Girls and fun. Girls and danger.
Since their premiere in the 1960s, the Bond movies have grossed over $3.7 billion in ticket sales. And everyone from Pierce Brosnan to Roger Moore and even Woody Allen has played a version of 007.
My doctor says I can't have bullets enter my body at any time.
But for most fans, no one topped the actor who first spoke the immortal words.
My name is Bond. James Bond.
When the dude walked into a room and chicks started just taking their clothes off, you bought it. He said, well, he's that good looking. My pants are off right now.
What sharp little eyes you've got.
Wait till you get to my teeth.
You give yourselves up without a struggle, we'll try and make things easier for you.
And if not, you may be severely pummeled about the head and shoulder.
The superhero at number 3, is still just as influential in the 21st century as he was when he first spread his cape over the streets of Gotham City in 1939.
With no question, my favorite superhero as a kid was Batman, because he was human. Here's the character of a young boy whose wealthy, happy family was taken away from him, lost his mom and his dad, and then he became this avenging vigilante.
He had a giant cave under his house, and I thought that would be so cool. And it wasn't until years later that I realized that his relationship with Robin was wholly inappropriate.
Holy heart failure!
In 1966, Batman truly exploded in American pop culture, thanks to a self-spoofing TV series that hooked both kids and adults with its satiric, psychedelic style.
Just looking, thanks. I'll stand at the bar. I shouldn't wish to attract attention.
Most comic book fans think the TV Batman ruined the comic book world for years and years and years, but it's closer to the real comic books than people would want to admit.
In 1989, filmmaker Tim Burton redefined The Dark Knight, taking inspiration from the grim graphic novels of former Marvel artist Frank Miller.
When Tim Burton decided to bring some darkness to it, finally, Dark Knight had the treatment that he deserved.
Tim was really into the Frank Miller Batman thing, and knew it and understood it much more than I did. He had the vision of it, and the look of it, and the images and the tone of it.
Unfortunately, the Cape Crusader sequels that followed were less well received. And putting a codpiece and nipples on the Batsuit for 1997's Batman and Robin may have created the ultimate wardrobe malfunction.
I always thought that Clooney should have been the perfect Bruce Wayne. Unfortunately, they cast him in one of the worst Batman movies of all time.
Let that be an object lesson in the dangers of tampering with the laws of Mother Nature.
Brooding anti-heroes may be trendy, but Spawn, Hellboy, and Blade combined couldn't take down the character who first made superheroes a national obsession.
It's a plane! It's Superman!
As created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, the sons of Jewish immigrants, Superman himself was the ultimate immigrant.
It's funny to think that they tried for 6 years to sell Superman, and the editor said, it's just too fantastic. No kid is gonna believe a character who can lift a car over his head or leap over buildings. June 1938, Action 1 comes out, and within a year, Superman had transformed an entire industry.
Superman was so perfect. Just those abs. I mean, God. The blue and the red and the yellow all coming together over those. I'm starting to sound very gay, aren't I?
During the Great Depression and World War II, Superman was the most famous fictional symbol of truth and justice. So it's even more amazing that Siegel and Shuster first envisioned Superman as a supervillain. By the time they sold the character for a whopping $130 to Action Comics, Superman was on the right side of the law and an icon of American strength. Here was a guy who could beat both Lex Luthor and Adolf Hitler.
He could fly, stop bullets. He looked fantastic in tights. And those tights were just a little bit too tight. Superman got a whole lot of super things going on.
I remember having a red pair of tight Speedo-like trunks and putting them on over my mother's blue tights. And then I cut it out of cardboard, the Superman chest logo, and put it on a blue sweatshirt. And then I tied a red towel around my neck or pinned it to my shoulders.
It's an interesting character because he's really three characters. He's the Clark Kent from the farm, he's the affected Clark Kent who works at the Daily Planet, and he's Superman, the last son of Krypton.
I don't believe it.
And these are three very, different characters.
He actually has to downplay his abilities and so that the rest of us can actually relate to him. Because really, at the end of the day, if he was just Superman, I'd hate this guy. Every girl would want Superman. He'd be getting laid all the time.
Oh, Superman, you were wonderful.
You're pretty wonderful yourself.
Oh.
My favorite superhero was Superman. Played so brilliantly, I thought, by Christopher Reeve.
Richard Donner did a brilliant job on the first Superman movie. I thought the second Superman movie was good too. Unfortunately, they went downhill after that.
Over the last decade, Superman also found new powers on television. He was domesticated into Lois Lane's husband in the tongue-in-cheek Lois and Clark, and he became the ultimate adolescent outsider on the WB drama Smallville. And in 2005, X-Men director Bryan Singer reinvigorated the franchise once again by launching production on the feature Superman Returns, starring Brandon Routh as the Man of Steel.
It's an opportunity and a responsibility, and I was very adamant about casting an unknown, and I found a wonderful guy, and Brandon Routh. To embody all the expectations is quite a task. So to me, it goes from being, wow, childhood dream realized, to, wow, big job ahead.
Superman started a genre which has continued to this day. The projection of super abilities onto human characters. And to me, everything dribbles down from Superman.
I didn't even get a chance to thank him.
Up next, it's time to finally unmask the world's ultimate superhero. Superman may have the world's coolest superpowers, and 007 may possess the best gadgets this side of sharper image, but when it comes to originality, merchandising power, multimedia success, and flat-out Halloween costume coolness, no one can top a hero who proves the power of stick-to-itiveness. At number 1, Spider-Man. When former Marvel Comics errand boy turned story editor Stan Lee pitched Spider-Man to his boss, he nearly got thrown out of the office. America hates bugs, the boss said. But from the start, there was more to Spider-Man than sticky fingers.
Spider-Man, or Peter Parker, is somebody that virtually any young reader can identify with. He didn't get along well with girls, particularly. He had dandruff, he had acne. I gave him all the ills that flesh is heir to.
My favorite superhero was Spider-Man because he was a troubled kid. He wasn't an invincible adult. And he wore long johns, and I had long johns, so I felt a connection. Oh boy.
All of a sudden, characters like Spider-Man were being created who had real personal problems.
I understood his issues, you know, being a nerd and not be able to tell people that he was a superhero.
Spider-Man's the most humanistic superhero there is. Very charismatic and sweet, and he's a little dorky.
I think there is a Peter Parker in all of us.
1 year after the Batman TV show premiered, Spider-Man was spinning tales of his own on a 1967 cartoon series. For the next 20 years, he was rarely off television. In 1978, Spidey starred in his own live-action TV show starring Nicholas Hammond. The character also helped kids learn to read on the Electric Company. And in the 1970s, there was even a Spider-Man rock opera, along with an endless web of Marvel merchandise.
If it had Spider-Man on it, I probably owned it. I've got sleeping bag, bath towel, toys. I'm sure there were some pajamas along the way.
Cool Spidey outfit. Thanks.
In 2002, the Arachnids' fame skyrocketed with the release of the movie blockbuster Spider-Man. The film and its merchandise grossed $1 billion, an amount doubled with the 2004 sequel.
Of all of the comic book characters that have been translated to film, Spider-Man may be the best executed so far because they really, really hit right on Peter Parker's persona. They've got his sense of humor, his great fun at first discovering his powers. And Tobey Maguire is a really good dual personality.
Everything that made Spider-Man popular and is still making him popular in the books, it's on the screen.
I think I have a superhero stalker.
I was in the neighborhood.
It's easy to see how Spider-Man and the rest of the superheroes climb to the top of the pop culture universe. Superheroes fight the battles their fans wish they could, offering certainty in an uncertain world.
Holy heart failure.
It's the fantasy of a person being able to have superpowers and save the day.
Who wouldn't want to be able to fly through the sky?
Who wants to watch The Common Man? I don't know if you've noticed, The Common Man blows. If I want to watch The Common Man, I'll look in my house.
I got him!
Oh, boy.
We'll take it from here.
Bravo's counting down the ultimate superheroes, vixens, and villains with a 3-night special. Delicious! From Buffy to Batman and Dr. Evil to Darth Vader. Who will be #1?
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
Ultimate Super Vixens, tomorrow at 10/9 Central, only on Bravo. Watch what happens.
They're faster than speeding bullets.
Indiana Jones fights beyond his physical pain.
I love Indiana Jones. He's so sexy.
They're more powerful than a 20-megaton bomb.
The Incredible Hulk was really cool.
Didn't I kill you already? Hellboy. It's yearning to just be normal.
Spider-Man is just such a beloved character.
Thanks.
They're cunning, charismatic.
I make this look good.
And cooler than a vodka martini, shaken not stirred.
Sean Connery killed it.
My name is Bond. James Bond.
Superheroes reflect the times in which they're written.
They're the world's ultimate superheroes.
Oh, come on, man. We all love superheroes.
I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you.
Theirs is the eternal battle between good versus evil.
Need to ease up out my face for something bad happened to you.
Today, more than ever, heroes, superheroes, still have the power to grip our imagination.
Superheroes are today's contemporary American mythology. The Greek gods, the Roman gods, those characters are still alive and well, only they're wearing spandex and capes.
Superheroes represent personal fantasy. If I could just melt you with my heat vision, I could control you in my mind, or I could defend myself against all odds. Most people go through life like myself, afraid of getting hit by cars. So what if you were impervious to that?
I think people love superheroes because everybody, at some point or another, fantasized about being one.
Favorite character would have to probably be Batman.
I like Superman.
Blade, the Daywalker.
To create a list of the ultimate top 20 superheroes, over 50 experts weighed in, from Hollywood filmmakers to pioneering comic book creators. Their list drew from movies, comics, TV, and video games. Each superhero on the list had to be a larger-than-life figure who serves a greater good than himself.
You'll find I'm full of surprises.
While standing tall in today's pop culture.
I won't buy.
And with a super cool costume and a near-perfect track record of getting girls, who wouldn't want this gig?
Let me tell you something. There's only one way off of this planet, baby, and that's through me.
The superheroes at number 20, the Men in Black, play on humanity's deepest, darkest suspicions about government conspiracies and alien invasion. Is a formula that powered a 1991 comic book and a movie series that beamed up over $500 million.
We're under arrest for violating sections 4153 of the Tycho Treaty.